I wanted to make a follow-up video um, like, with all the evidence against Ron Logan. I wanted to first begin by recapping what I said in my previous video very quickly. And unfortunately, I have to correct a few of the things because I'm an idiot. I got a few things off, and I'll explain. Um, So what I said in my last video was this is Ron Logan's phone, and you can see his phone in his pocket. The dimensions are 2.19 inches wide by 4.22 inches tall and 0.78 inches thick. Um, so those are the dimensions of his actual phone. I was very close in in predicting what it would be by using the dimensions of this water bottle. Now this is where what I got wrong, and I'm an idiot because this is one of the most important parts of the case. And I said the water bottle was 3 inches wide, just from memory, and it's been over a year since I submitted this. And the water bottle's width is actually 3.5 inches wide by 8.25 inches tall. And I should have gotten that right because it's, you know, really important. If you're going to determine his height using this water bottle, you need to know that's 3.5 inches wide. So I apologize that I got that wrong, especially if you tried to do it yourself and uh, and you didn't come up with his correct height. Then the next thing I explained was that Bridge Guy is left-handed because of several things. One, his coat is the collar of the jacket is folded under itself. Not on this side. You can see in the video that's clearly flapping in the wind, but this side is folded under, which indicates left-handed. Also, the phone in the right pocket and the strap over this arm. And then another thing I explained in the last video was all the indications that this was Ron Logan's hat. You could see the pin, you can see the white pin, you can see spots, you can see, um, let's see, wow, here's the white pin. But that's all in the last video. Um, hmm. All right, so I'm trying to find, there it is. This image right here is what I'm looking for. I also explained he had a dent in his hat, and it's clearly a camo hat, and the pin is visible in this image. Um, and so that was my last video. Oh, and the fact that he wore a backup fanny pack the next day, and I showed an image of it. What I want to do in this video is um, kind of explain the background, some things off the images, but other things that are not in the images. So let's get started. But well, let's get started with this image since we're here. You can see that the bridge guy had white sideburns. If you look very carefully, you can see the white right there, which Ron Logan also had white sideburns. And Ron Logan got a haircut right after. You can see his haircut in this image, in fact. And um, he completely changed his appearance afterwards. He went from wearing what BG wore to looking like this. This was um, this was after the images came out of the bridge guy, and so he changed up his appearance. Now, even though he changed up his appearance, there were some things that he still just liked, which his pants. You can see that Bridge Guy had excessively long pants. Um, and this was a style worn by older men. My dad wore his pants like this. In fact, my dad was the same age as Ron Logan. Um, and this is not something any other generation does. I don't know why my dad did it. It was just his generation. The pants would be all, they would get tattered by stepping on them, but that's just the way they wore it. And there's no younger guy that would wear his pants like this because it's a generational thing. And clearly you can see that in both these pictures, and the fact that he walks with, this duck-like walk. You can see this, both of his feet kind of turn outward as Ron Logan's walking, and you can see that same slight outward walk as Bridge Guy's walking. All right. You can see that this guy has a belly, and clearly Ron Logan had a belly. Okay. Now, Ron Logan had a clear view of the drop-off location. In fact, I've drawn a line right here from Ron Logan's house to where the girls were dropped off. And I've showed a picture of his upstairs window where, using binoculars, he could have seen very easily, a half mile. And I've done it myself. I've got out my binoculars and looked a half mile, and I had no trouble seeing clear details. And so that was, I strongly believe, how Ron Logan knew the girls arrived. He didn't know what girls they were. I don't imagine. Although there is some indication that he knew Abby's mom, and Ron Logan might have known Abby, which we'll get into later. But certainly it's within the realm of possibilities that he saw them get dropped off. I believe he did. And I believe he had pre-planned this and was watching the drop-off location and was watching other people on the bridge as well. He likely knew that even though Richard Allen had come a different direction, Ron Logan could have still seen the trail and was probably watching the trail and had seen Richard Allen come and go as well, I believe. Now, Ron Logan was kind of a voyeur anyway, I believe, because he didn't let women go upstairs in his house. In fact, one time a girlfriend of his snuck upstairs and really didn't see anything of significance. And the reason being is he wasn't hiding anything up there. He was hiding the fact that he was watching people from up there, I believe. All right, moving on to gloves. Right here. You can see, and it took me a while to understand this, so I understand if you don't accept this right away. But you could see the yellow glove. It's not skin toned, it's yellow in color. And believe it or not, with a magnifying glass and a lot of hours studying this, which I've put in countless hours, you can see the blue part of his glove up here. And it's these same, now, I say it's the same gloves, it's the same style gloves. Ron Logan would have gotten rid of his old gloves that were bloodied, and along with his jacket and pants and fanny pack. But the next days, um, Ron Logan was wearing these brand new gloves. And I've looked through all the video of his gloves and frame by frame, and you can tell that these are brand new gloves. There's not a speck of dirt on them. There's no uh, there's no wear. These are new gloves, like day old gloves that he just got out and started wearing. Um, and so that's another indication that um, that he was the bridge guy. I mean, why would Ron Logan have gotten out brand new gloves a day after the murders? Um, oh, camo is the next topic. And the bridge guy was wearing a winter camo hoodie. And um, like I say, I've spent a lot of time on trying to figure out what all this is. And at the time, someone told me, "Well, what difference does it make? Well, who cares what he's wearing?" Well, it can make a big difference, and I'll explain why. Um, well, first, let me show you that it is in fact a winter hoodie. You can see the drawstring right here. You can see the black, what I used to think was a shadow under his chin. It's not a shadow. It's too dark to be a shadow. It's the black in his winter camo hoodie. Um, and you can see the various different shades of gray in his hoodie. Now, why is that important? Who cares that he's wearing camo? Well, it's important. Um, Ron Logan wore camo. He had camo boots. He had a camo cap. Well, he's wearing his camo cap right here. Um, but Richard Allen, I can't find any images of Richard Allen wearing any camo because he's not a hunter. Ron Logan is a hunter. And in fact, Barbara McDonald said he would hunt alone. Um, and, that's just that's just who he is. He lived alone, hunted alone, and he murdered alone. And that's why I, I'm fairly confident that no one else participated in these crimes. But the fact that Bridge Guy is wearing 2 items of camo and tells me he's a hunter. Uh, that's an important distinction. All right, let's move on. Um, Ron Logan's cellmate, I think, is um, evidence that's really overlooked. His cellmate said that Ron Logan, um, when he was being happy, would say "Abby, oh Abby," over and over again. And he also would say, "Lie down, be still." These are 2 indications, and this came out before anything was mentioned about how Abby died, or uh, the fact that Abby was treated differently afterwards than Libby by being dressed, etc. So the killer obviously had an obsession with Abby by redressing her, by putting the crown or whatever you want to call it, sticks on her head. Um, and the fact that Ron Logan is obsessing over Abby in jail and made the comment, "Lie down, be still." Libby was killed immediately. Abby was her puncture wounds were nowhere near fatal immediately, and so she would have gotten up. She would have taken a lot longer to pass. And so when he says, "Lie down, be still," this is insider knowledge that no one else had but Ron Logan. And Ron Logan also obsessed over Abby at the viewing. He made the comment that he didn't think they did a great job on Abby. that continued his obsession over Abby. And so, to me, just just the fact that he focused on her by saying Abby, oh Abby, and he knew that she had gotten up and moved around after being stabbed by saying lay down and be still, Abby. Um, that's some information that hadn't got out, and only the killer would have known that kind of information. The phone call at 2:09 was made in the area of the Monon High Bridge trails. I believe it, it was at the right at the north end of the bridge, that Ron Logan came from his house. Took his shortcut trail that goes right to the north end of the bridge, made a phone call, um, and immediately started walking on the bridge, because it takes 4 minutes to get from that north end of the bridge to where Libby filmed him, which from 2:09 to 2:13 is exactly 4 minutes. So, and of course, the text that Ron Logan made in the evening at 8 and 10 o'clock at night, right next to the bodies, according to the FBI, proved that he went back to the crime scene, and that's where he was able to do all his redressing and washing the bodies. Use that orange cleaner that they found at his house, I imagine, to get his DNA off the bodies. But the text proved that he went back that evening and had time to do all the things that covering the bodies with sticks. I think he tried to bury the girls. There was some talk 7 years ago about there being some digging near the bodies, and I believe Ron Logan thought he can just bury the girls. Like, he had told a girlfriend of his that he would kill her and they would never find her, and the only way that could happen is if he buried her body. And so that shows some forethought, that he had planned that for his previous girlfriend, but then he thought, well, I know how to get rid of bodies, just bury them. But the problem was, it was winter, it was February, and the ground was somewhat frozen, and it was a warm day, and I'm sure he thought, oh, it's warm enough, I can dig a hole on my property, but you can't when the ground's that frozen. He wasn't able to dig a hole, so I think his plan B was to maybe frame someone else, frame Ognus, whatever it took, to take attention away from him. But that's a lot of criticism that people have about accusing Ron Logan. Well, who would do that on their own property? Well, if your plan was to bury the girls and then that backfired, then it makes complete sense why he tried to use sticks or deflect away from someone else. His voice, the FBI said his voice was not inconsistent. I would take it a step further. His voice absolutely is consistent with Ron Logan's, the Bridge Guy's voice. And if you watch the Inside Edition video where they have Ron say down the hill, even though he goes down the hill, it's Ron Logan's voice. I have no doubt that it's Ron Logan's voice. My in-laws are from Indiana. I know the accents of older men from Indiana. I've spent a lot of time in Indiana. That's Ron Logan's. That's an older man's voice. I have no doubt about that. That's his voice. His girlfriend of many long ago, but still a girlfriend, identified that voice as being Ron Logan as well. Someone who knew him well. A previous newer girlfriend and his cousin identified him as being the Bridge Guy. they immediately saw him as Ron Logan. Well, because they knew what he dressed like, they knew what he looked like, and they knew that was Ron Logan. Um, a previous girlfriend said he wore a fanny pack with a gun in it. Um, and and now, um, oh, sorry, I am struggling with finding things right now. But you can actually see the knife through the fanny pack, and I'll explain why. This is the knife right here. You can see it better in other images, and it's reflecting off the sun because this is a nylon fanny pack. It's kind of like his nylon jacket. This is a nylon windbreaker, and you can see through it fairly easily because the sun goes right through the nylon, and that's why you're able to see images so clearly through the nylon jacket and nylon fanny pack. Now, the knife is about 4 to 4.5 inches long. Like I say, the reason I know that is I compared it to the width of this, which is 3.5 inches right here. So now, but you don't see the gun in the fanny pack. And the reason for that is the gun must have been all black. And the black is absorbing the sunlight and not reflecting it. Whereas the knife obviously had to have been a metallic, at least in part, for it to reflect the sunlight. And like I say, look through the video, you'll see better images even than this of the reflection of the knife. But you know, Ron Logan was known to carry a gun in his fanny pack years even before the murders. Another proof that it was Ron Logan was his alibi, and the FBI pointed that out, and the FBI knows it's Ron Logan. It's and it's the ISP in Carroll County that was stubborn and thought they knew more than the FBI, and they thought, well, you know, Ron Logan, we know Ron Logan. He's a good old boy. He's one of us. He wouldn't do this. They were almost too close, too stubborn to admit they're wrong. A lot of reasons, but the FBI knew that it was him, and the alibi very much proved that it was him. He did go to dump his trash off earlier, and but he had told his cousin, he told his cousin to tell the law enforcement that they went from somewhere between 2 and 2:30 to the fish store, and that his cousin drove. That coincided exactly when the girls were kidnapped at 2:13. And Ron Logan didn't actually leave for the fish store until it was probably 4:30, close to 5 o'clock maybe. And also Fig's version of going to the dump that day is not correct. The video that Fig put out actually happened after 2/13/17, after the murders. And I know that because Ron's wearing his brand new gloves in the video that Fig put out. And plus the timestamp that Fig had was wrong compared to what it should have been. But so a lot of people say, well, that, you know, Ron went to the transfer station earlier that day and wearing something different. That was not the same day as the murders, and that it's just a lie that Fig put out. So the alibi, before the girls had even been found, Ron Logan was saying to his cousin that 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 tell law enforcement they had left between 2 and 2:30, the exact time of the kidnappings, and there was no reason for Ron Logan to say that. And if he was going to lie, he should have said when he actually left between 4:30 and 5. Um, a couple other things. Ron Logan was a panty thief. His ex-girlfriend said he would steal panties from her, and in fact, one of the items of clothing that was missing was some of the girls' panties. I would suspect it was Abby's because he had something for Abby, but I don't know that as a fact. But I'm saying he was found with a collection of panties in his house, and so it's just a fetish that he had. But the fact that the killer took panties is an indication that it was Ron Logan. And I wanted to point out the binoculars. I don't think I pointed that out previously, but Ron, the bridge guy, is carrying some binoculars in his coat pocket, and you can see they're actually sticking out of his coat. You can see these green binoculars right here. You can even see the checkered pattern if you look very carefully. They're upside down, so you can see the checkered pattern right there. And you can see where the eyepiece makes a shadow through his coat. And these are the same binoculars I believe that he used to see the girls get dropped off. He quickly put on his jacket, and the fact that he has the collar folded under itself says that he was in a hurry putting that on. I got ahead of myself. He put on the fanny pack because the fanny pack's underneath the jacket. And so he grabbed it with his left hand, put the fanny pack strap on his shoulder, then quickly put on his jacket, stuck his binoculars in there, stuck his water bottle in there, and off he went. But so the fact that this is folded under says two things. He's left-handed, and it also says he was in a hurry putting on that jacket. If he had been walking around for hours out there, he would probably notice that his collar was folded under and fixed it. So that's another indication that it was wrong. One thing I didn't touch on, and I probably should have, is Ron's mustache. You can see his mustache. Well, I really should have touched on that earlier. But you can see Ron's mustache in this image. Same shape, same roundish. But a lot of people say, well, look, his mustache is white. There's no way that's a white mustache. And you're right, it doesn't look white in that image. But if you look at other images of Ron's mustache, it's not always pure white like the other image. So sometimes his mustache looks dirty blonde. I'm a blonde. I try to grow a mustache. It just blends into my skin, and I don't bother because it looks terrible. Because well, that's why his mustache sort of blends into his skin, and a lot of people have a hard time seeing it. I don't. To me, it really stands out. But and clearly has no chin hair. For me, I can see that very clearly. But I understand if you haven't really studied these images for long periods of time, I could see how you wouldn't necessarily see that. All right. Well, I hope you've learned something that you didn't know about this case. Like I say, I've been looking into this since the day the girls were killed. I've spent countless hours studying these images, studying the case. Uh, I I personally know that Ron Logan is the bridge guy, and that Richard Allen had nothing to do with these murders, and so that's why um, I am making these videos. I have no intention of being a YouTuber. I just want information to get out and for people to know the truth. I want Richard Allen to get out of prison. Um, there's been a lot of people to conspire um, so that they can get ahead, whether it's to become sheriff or to get promoted to the Indiana Supreme Court, or for whatever reason they have. Um, they don't give a damn about Richard Allen, and um, and this is a travesty. And I look forward to the day where he's reunited with his wife. I know he's innocent, and I've done all I can, I think, to show who the bridge guy actually was, um, and to hopefully exonerate Richard Allen. Thank you.